Yeah, right. Yeah. We got all the paper filled out. Well, it's not a traffic area that's really. Yeah. And it's. Yeah. We just covered. Yeah. We got a hole there that day. Yes, yeah. A couple weeks ago, Texas. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get it here one of these. They don't have yeah.
It's just gonna affect.
Yeah. No, it's just.
I don't know, I didn't see that actually.
Have you thought about it? There's a place over that way somewhere.
These are these classes you have to take like your every else.
And I remember when they did so hard. But they don't. Yeah, see if they would. Try not, too fast. Might be able to try to find a way surely they have a way over there to move it off of the trailer. I just think things like that, and what, making, what you're signing on there, it's kind of I like to plan something like that.
Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. I just want to remind you, if you want to speak during the citizens hearing portion of our meeting, there should be a sign-up sheet on that podium. You'll need to sign up on that sheet. Also going to ask everybody to make sure you get your phones in vibrate or silent mode before we start. So. Danny, are we looking for another recruit for the village? I think he's got the right shirt on. Yep, 34 is good. That'd be 4. And even though
base it on.
Well, we don't base it off of it. But get forward.
Fix this first.
Yeah, you want to get to it. We used to go turn it into concession stand.
I just got a call about
Mark's
that.
got a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody left a glove and a nice rocker folding chair out there on the table. My wife left it up there,
Okay.
but. So, gloves and a hat.
Okay.
Playing cards up there.
Okay.
And she told me about it. I went up to the picture of it. And I just went and brought it home. And the cable post was up there. Boy.
Yeah.
Team up there from out of town.
Sure. I've got a call. I'll let you know what I'm looking for. What it looks like. I'll shoot you an email.
Get them to the.
Put them in the concession stand. I can do that.
Back to work.
All right, at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. I invite everyone to please stand and join me in the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Also, roll call
Dave Rutlog,
here.
Joe Boyd,
Here.
Kevin Kelly. Here. Bill Morris.
Here.
Lynn Norris. Here.
And so everyone is aware our streaming is working again, so we are streaming the meeting tonight as well as recording. So next item on the agenda is consent agenda. It's all things considered to be routine and non-controversial. It includes the open minutes from our May 7th meeting and financial statements and payment of the bills for May. So first, are there any questions on the minutes? None. Are there any questions on the financial statements or payment of the bills? None. Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Any final questions or discussion? Olson, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kevin Kelly.
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris. Yeah.
Okay, that is approved. Next on the agenda is citizens hearing. Who is, no, we have
We have one.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark. Need to start with your name and address, please.
Mark
Yeah.
Fusek.
There's a red, hit the button at the bottom. Turn the mic up. Thank you.
Mark Fusek on 703 North Washington Street. And what I would like to talk about tonight is the ball field scheduling process. The Hudson Lions Club, we've been sponsoring a ball program here for decades. And we currently have T-ball teams, rookie league teams, and an under 10 and under 12 league. And we're serving Hudson residents, families for township or Hudson Elementary families, kindergarten through 12 years old right now. And in the past, we've also we sponsored softball and an under 14 baseball league, which we don't anymore because of lack of interest. And our volunteers within the Hudson Lions Club handle all that aspects of the ball programs, scheduling, sign up roster, uniforms, people who line the fields. And, you know, as we all know, volunteers, if it's difficult to volunteer and do something, fewer people will volunteer. And what we found in the past few years is that scheduling time for the Hudson Ball program has become more and more complex and stressful and frustrating for the volunteers running the Hudson Lions ball program. Scheduling has become frustrating. They have to take into it. They have a lot of things they have to take into account. They have to take into the coach's schedule, family schedule, their own schedule, the age of the players. We're not going to have kindergartners practicing at 6 o'clock, ending at 7. We want to get them in there early so they go home and keep their routine. And then also for the volunteer running the program, for the rookie league right now, they have machine pitch. So the volunteer from the Hudson Lions Club has to go up there before practices, set up the machine, and then go back up after, take down the machines. So there's a lot involved in scheduling the ball program. And lately, what we found in the past few years to make it more frustrating is that the Hudson Lions Club doesn't have priority to serve the Hudson residents. That we have other organizations that schedule field time that then the Hudson Lions Club and the Hudson families have to work around. And I feel that because the goal of the Hudson Lions Club ball program is to serve the residents of Hudson, families of Hudson, that should be giving scheduling priority. And I know there's a lot of factors that go into that. Our sign up is later than most other teams using the field. You know, we don't start, and then we have schedule is kind of schedule comes out later than other organizations. So that's what I was saying about. I think they should be given first priority for the field to make accommodations for those programs. In addition to that, we have a great resource in those ball fields, and I thank the village for maintaining them and creating them. And I've noticed over the past few years that they do need some work. The Turner Field could use a regrading, the infield, and the plate has sunk below ground level. So, and then the batter's boxes could use some work. And then also on Heinke Field, the home plate, pitcher's mound, and second base don't line up as they should. So just a few observations there. So, and again, thank you for your time and thank you for maintaining that great resource we have in the village.
Thank you, Mark. Does anybody have any questions for Mark?
Is anybody, I mean, is there like an online app or something we could buy to make scheduling better? If we need money, or what would help?
We currently schedule through the village website, which works well. It's just that the scheduling opens and then the times are taken up, and the Hudson Ball program, we don't know what our schedule is going to be or how many teams we're going to have until we get our roster set, we get the number of teams we're going to have, participants, leagues we're going to have. So it's a fluid process almost till we start, you know, in May.
You need to have levels of users, so some users can book before others or something, or
Right.
might not have that ability, but okay.
I know that the last couple of years, Denny can probably speak better to this than I can, but I thought you guys had met and set nights for different groups or something, right? Like 10U, 12U got a night, certain nights, and you guys got certain nights, so you knew your nights ahead of time or something. That's why Carol was doing it on the calendar that way, I think.
Yes. And
Okay.
what
So I thought
happens
so.
is with the T-ball and rookies, the young kids, are the volunteer coaches, you know, and the families that may not work, you know, if we say we just want Mondays and Wednesdays and they can't make it till later in the night, or that it makes it really hard to get those volunteers and to serve
Are
them.
you saying for like
Yeah.
practices and games?
Yes.
That's your concern? Okay.
Yeah, practices a lot.
Yeah, more so than the
So,
games.
right.
The games are kind of set.
Games are set, they're
Yeah.
going, but practices,
The practices.
yeah.
Which I know Carol has said it's hard to keep it open is the problem, because then a
Yeah.
lot of people call and want practice and things, so I know Carol has spoke to that. But that's why we kind of did days, so that she wouldn't have to continually keep it all blocked off until,
So
Mark,
when
When do the
Suggestion-
other teams start booking? Sorry.
like March and April, I think.
I think does the
Even
calendar open at the beginning of the year?
We don't really open it until we've got the days from your meeting, that you
Okay.
guys all get together and choose days, that's when it can be opened up. Right, am I right? Then that's usually how
Yeah.
Carol does, like, once you guys choose your days, then Carol can open it up, and if you guys, if someone calls and says they want a Monday, but that's Lions Club, she says, no, sorry, you can't have that day until you guys return to your schedule. So it's held for you until schedules are in, I think,
Yeah.
so she does it.
But
So, yeah.
So Mark, so basically, like you said, kindergartners, can't play actually at like 7:30 or 8 because they gotta go to bed at 7, right?
Right.
Something like that. So you're saying maybe having the scheduling blocked off, like from like 5 to 7? That is, and then when the volunteers and the coaches of those little kids, they can schedule the practices and the games, and then whatever's left over, then it goes to the older kids, something like that?
it could, or we look at some sort of solution where maybe we do block off days or schedule practices on days where we know the Lions Club won't have practices like Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
Friday nights usually. So it's just hard to say, and it's a tough thing because of the fact that Lions Club, we don't know what's gonna happen. We kind of do, but we're not sure, and then it just, again, being volunteers, that it gets harder to get people to volunteer to head up the ball program.
So if the priority is restricted to the smaller kids and that's in residence first, and then after that is scheduled and planned out, then it can go for possibly to other kids, and that might be more outside of Hudson, correct?
Correct.
How far in advance do the practices start? Cause I know games just started this week, for like rookie ball. How far out?
I think practices started in beginning of May, maybe. I
Okay.
mean, it's
So a few
pretty,
weeks.
it's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just because I know the 10U and 12U start earlier,
Mhm.
and they could, they can go a little bit later in the evenings, and their schedules are, we have to work around the leagues that they're in,
Mhm.
because they're in a Southwest McLean County, Southeast McLean County League,
Okay.
so that's,
And then when did, when do you get all your coaches on board, like your volunteer coaches on board?
we usually have sign up starts we have a sign up at the library usually around St. Patrick's Day. So we probably know maybe mid to late March, early April. I probably would say early April to mid-April is when we know what our rosters are gonna be and we know who the coaches are gonna be.
Okay.
So it's more like mid-April that we would be.
Okay. So I just feel like it's kind of tweaking what we're doing right now and maybe closing that schedule until we get the work. And it's, I don't think it would be that difficult because it's only a matter of a few weeks.
Right, and if it were that, hey, we're gonna start practices May 1st,
Mhm.
let's keep, and then games start at the end of May, maybe those 3 weeks there get a little more restrictive for, the Hudson Lions Club gets more priority in those.
Mhm. So Natalie's not here tonight, she's parks. But I feel like we can get together.
Yeah.
Cause I think I'm on that committee, yes. And we can tweak it, I think
Yeah.
we can get it to work out, so there's not so much, I know it's been hard this year.
Thank you.
And the second concern I think you had was a volunteer, before the game and after the game, doing the setup, right? That was your other
And
concern?
practices too, to where if the volunteer, they can schedule the rookie practices at the same time, back to back, or in that same evening, instead of going up there 2 or 3 nights a week, they could head up there once or twice.
Part of the scheduling process.
Right.
So just like someone gets paid to line the fields for those games, would it be possible to find somebody to do the setup in Terrebonne too? Like a volunteer, but gets like,
Well,
I know,
the pitching machines are not
no.
inexpensive, and
Yeah,
we'd like to have somebody available from the Hudson Lions Club setting us up,
gotcha.
because they have to go into the shed and along the rest of the equipment.
Okay.
So,
And we'll work on the field situation.
Yeah, that's always an ongoing process. We fix it in a game or two, it seems like later it's back destroyed. The thing that, for some of you that haven't been involved in the program for a while is that there's a lot of teams that are coming to us that are wanting to have games the 1st of April. So I know in the past, when we've held a lot of time slots for the Lions clubs of, not knowing for sure if you're gonna have 4 teams or 12 teams and how many at this level and that level. I understand all that, and it takes us the same effort if you have one game, one night a week, or if there's games every night. I personally don't like it when we're hoping there's gonna be people up there and then there's no teams to go up there and use it. So I like to see when it's being used, especially when we have, I don't care what the organization is that's coming to it, to be able to use it. So, I personally like to see it used. So, I wish Natalie was here, as you were saying, Lynn, because I think she has some, ideas and definitely wants to be a part of the scheduling process. And, as you know, we're doing things different in the concession stand. And, I think moving forward, there's maybe some newer things. I don't want to say too much without Natalie being here, but,
The north.
We should make sure we're using all the features of the software. If you're looking for, you can look me, got me or something. If you want somebody to read that manual,
Oh.
I don't see it here. There must be some admin login or something. Maybe I can
Yeah,
get it, but-
they just go in and reserve the time if they want, online easily, which is easy, but I think the problem is if we just open it, which they can do that year round, but we can't accept anything if dates are like blocked. Like if somebody said, don't book anything until mid to end of
Is there a
April,
wait list feature?
yeah, you know what I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah, we should like override that or something, close to the date, Mark hasn't used it yet. I don't-
Yeah, and I
if
think the
there's
problem
levels of
before
different
was,
users,
people needed to know, I think, before mid-April, and so then they would call us, and we'd say, we don't know, and then it was like a whole, they would request, and we'd have to say, sorry, we can't let you know until a certain date, I think is what Carol ran into. So it's a feature that we can just wait to accept, but then she has to keep all those emails straight and timed, and
I think some of it's policy, like if we make a policy that, that's like stuff gets it up to here, you can't delegate that decision to Mark or not. I don't know.
we could just not accept
I'm not-
anything
I'm not-
until that date, and then whenever he decides, gets his dates, we can open it back up. And just, then that's usually how it's always had to be before, is we just waited and then open it back up once we had their dates.
The question would be what kind of users could you set? Could you set them with higher priority than others or something?
I don't think you can, because it's open to the public even for like birthday parties at the pavilion and everything else, so. I think it's just, we just don't accept until we know we can. Go back to it like we used to, yeah.
All right, thanks, Mark, for coming up, pointing that out, and I think, Kevin, you and Lynn are both on the Parks Committee with Natalie, so I think we've got some good discussions coming up for, work on for hopefully for next year. Okay, was Mark the only one that signed up?
Yeah.
All right, and the citizens portion of the meeting is closed. Next is the village reports for me. We do have a CBA zoning board member to nominate. Andy Patton will be our 5th zoning board of appeals member. I did not ask him to the meeting soon enough, so he won't be here tonight, but he'll be at one of our meetings to be sworn in. So I believe that puts our planning commission and our zoning board of appeals committee at full strength. So good to have. Next item I have is the sewer study status. We are still working with the state to recoup the last $10,000 of the grant. I've been focusing most of my efforts on that. We have approval from state agencies, from IDNR, the Historic Preservation Office, from the Water Links Management Office, from the Army Corps of Engineers. The last thing we are waiting on one of our checklists is for the tribes, the Native American tribes that have interest in McLean County to sign off saying that, they've reviewed it, they don't have any concerns with what we're doing either. There's a second checklist I'm also working on that should be done within a week or so. So that's where we're at with the sewer status. I have met with Benward, Bloomington Normal Water Recommendation District, and found out they've had a slight change in plans and what they were looking at doing, and they are still planning to come out close to Hudson, about a mile south of town. It just will not be a east-west line on that road that will come out by Grant and Newsbaum and come all the way to the road at the south end of Grant. And then that would put us about a mile from Hudson, the south end of Hudson to there. So we're still looking at comparable distances, and they are going to be sending me plans. When I get that done and when I get the rest of the approval done, then I will start working on the packet to give to our legislators requesting funding. So that's where we're at with sewer. The ARPA money from McLean County, we originally requested the money for creating or for purchasing saddle connections to start fixing our saddle connections in town. Then when we had heavy rains, we realized there was some more tile work to be done, so we requested that we could use some of the money for tile work as well as saddles. We got okay for that. And I don't know if you started ordering stuff yet or not, Danny. So we have, I think it's around $57,000 in this round to spend of the county ARPA money. So that'll get us some more tile and some other saddle connections when we get that far. So that's where we're at with the county ARPA money. Sooner we get it spent, turn our paperwork into the county and that. So there will not be around 3. Sure of that. So I think the county has to have all their paperwork in by the end of this fiscal year, by the end of this calendar year. So this will be it. So that's all I have. The next agenda item is water, public property, streets, and zoning. Danny?
3.1 million for the month, which equates out to 100,000 a day. And I forgot to ask Sarah, have you checked the water laws?
I have not, I just got those numbers today from Wilmington, so I'll get that and I can email it out.
We also have, as you have seen, Franklin out of town toward the pipeline is having some construction. So IOK, they have a backflow prevention and a meter that they're going to be pulling. They told me about 10 loads on a 5,000 gallon water tank each day for the next several days for part of their road construction work. And I said, yeah, we'll be happy to sell you water for that. So that's going on. If you have any questions or see that, that's what's going on with that.
My mic won't shut off. Mark, can you plug me? Leave it off. Thank you. Apologize for that.
Looks like we got police chief by day, IT by night. Anyway, I have today's question about the ARPA. I have ordered several of those saddles. So if that fits into our schedule, just to get a little bit of them coming to figure out the wait times and the pricing as that changes. I kind of decided to switch gears a little bit. We were working over there, starting at the creek from through the township through Laird's property and behind the daycare, that is deeper there, with that being where there's already tiles in the ground there that we're upgrading. It's very wet there and it's been very challenging to work there this spring. So I'm kind of putting that on pause there a little bit. And we're gonna start working on Front and Shiner Street drainage stuff. And that's much shallower. And also I wanna make sure that we get that done by the time we get the grain traffic coming in September. So if you see us here in the next week, start to dig up here and wonder why that's not finished over there, that's why. The playground equipment, we've started to put together the big slide up there. We've had several hiccups with that and instructions and bolting and all that kind of stuff, but it's starting to look like something now. Also like to thank Doug White, aka Bob Ross, for painting the ship. We've got a lot of compliments about that up here. Again, thanks to the Violettos and company for donating that to us. Received a lot of compliments about enjoying that's up here. As we had at the beginning of May, if I remember right, we had just kind of one rainy day after another. A lot of folks experienced water that I personally have never heard them experiencing water issues before in areas of town. So we spent several days cleaning tiles. I think I talked about that a little bit last month, and we'll continue to do that as needed. We also talked about Kevin and Mark crosswalks up at Trimmer and South Street. South Street crosswalk is all painted and the signs are all up. We started a little bit of preliminary work on the Trimmer Park area. I think that's all I got on my list.
Are there any questions for Danny? Yeah, I also want to thank Greg and the sewing studio for donating that ship. It's been great. I mean, there's a lot of kids that love the ship.
We're glad it's being posted.
Yeah.
We're happy to work. We're more than happy to help out with it.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is Village Marshal Mark Cuddy.
All right, you all should have a copy of my report. You can see the hard statistics on the top. See there was some training that I needed to go to as part of mandated training every year or every other year. Then on the meetings here, I had a meeting for the Leeds audit meeting. And just so you know what that means, Leeds is basically the databases that we use for the state, which ties into the federal government, for license plates, people's driver's licenses, and criminal background checks and everything else like that. There's certain parameters we have to follow. We have to make sure that we only use them in certain ways. You can only share the information certain ways. So we went through the audit, we passed the audit, which is a good thing. So that's good to go. I had a CJIS pre-audit meeting, and there's going to be some changes. It's the Criminal Justice Administration, and that is also through the state. And it's how we do business in general, which includes the leads, but it will also include access to police buildings, and they're tightening down on some of that. And so I'll have to get with the mayor and talk about this, but just for example, if we're going to have like a meeting here and I'm not here or Chris isn't here or one of the police officers, there has to be designated people that are going to allow access to a police facility now. And there's some background things if you're going to be the designated person and a bunch of paperwork to fill out. Hopefully that won't be a big problem because generally I try to be here when you have a meeting anyway, so it's not a point. But we might have to make some designated people in we do the background checks on them and everything else. Garage sale event, all 3 officers, we worked the Hudson garage sales event, went really well. You know, we had course parking complaints, but we dealt with those complaints. The only thing that was a negative was we did, further down, you see we did have to take an accident report because someone ran into another person's car during the garage sale event. So we did have to take an accident report. We did take 1 criminal report, deceptive practices report. We registered and issued 14 golf permits this month, golf cart permits. So we have a total of 38 so far this year. Chris and I, we attended the Hudson Elementary graduation. They do a little graduation for the students. And we attended and, you know, kind of interacted with the kids at their picnic at Waller Park. And then 1 ordinance violation we issued to an individual for soliciting without a permit. So it was an actual ordinance violation that was issued to them. And then you can see the streetlight report. It's the same ones that have been burnt out for a while. And we keep on hammering it. We send them a monthly email every month. If you want me to move down to the EMA portion, I'll talk about that just real quick.
Why don't you go ahead and do that now?
Oh, okay. So we tested the sirens. You probably heard them go off today, is first Tuesday of the month. All 3 sirens in town are operable now, just like last month, so they're working good. The one at Lake Bloomington, which is also part of our system, is not operable at this time. It's being worked on. Hopefully the technician says next week it will be done, and then all 4 sirens will be fully up and operational. And then once that occurs, they will send the parts that are necessary up to Wisconsin. County EMA will do that. And then I believe I will be able to report that hopefully soon, both myself and the county can set up our weather alert sirens. Because currently, if you remember, only we can set them up. So we want to get to that point where they can do that too. So we're working on that still.
Can you tell us what your 3rd meeting on the list was about, or is that not?
Oh, well, that was just the update on the investigation on the with the water employee. I'll follow. They requested records, so they had to supply to them.
Are there any other questions for Mark? If not, thank you, Mark. Next on our list is finance, budget, contracts, and employees. Lynn?
Yep. First off, I'm gonna update everybody on the status of the new employee search that we're doing. So I'm talking to Denny and Phil. We decided it was best to start looking for a part-time with the potential for a full-time. That way it would be easier to kind of gauge skill level once they got on the job, and if it was up to the standards of the village, then a full-time position be offered. So we did an Indeed ad as well as some social media, and got several resumes. We went through them, chose a few to interview. Denny and Phil interviewed them this week, and there was 2 candidates that were had good potential for the part-time, and then in the future would be possibly full-time. So one of them followed up with availability and actually started this week. So we have 1 new part-time employee. It would be probably at least a year before he could do full-time, which would also give us the chance to kind of see how he actually does if we wanted him full-time. So in the meantime, we're keeping the Indeed ad up just in case we do get another application for somebody who would be more suited for the full-time sooner. But for right now, we have kind of the summer help that week. Okay, so the next on the agenda is we had a TIF request for would be a redevelopment, be a partial roof repair for 113 North Front Street, so over that part of the building, the apartment above. There was water damage, and even Judy Lampert had gotten it fixed and then asked if it would be eligible for TIF. So looking into TIF, it is. It's not the facade grant that we have established. Facade grant is strictly on the building, up to $7,500 grant, which was, in talking to our TIF coordinator, was established to incentivize business owners to keep up the exteriors of their building. Now, the redevelopment portion of TIF is entirely different. It is established for multiple different opportunities for business owners for their buildings within Renton, obviously to keep them up. So this particular building has historical value to Hudson. It's the oldest building in the downtown area. Stephen Juliet has owned it since 1984. They have done multiple upkeep projects on it throughout the years. This is the first time that they have requested TIF. To me, it's a $3,900 request. I am going to suggest we grant the full $3,900 in the redevelopment, under redevelopment agreement. And looking at the original TIF plan, so they did a bunch of proposed TIF eligible public project costs and rehab, reconstruction, repair of existing public buildings. They allocated $1 million to that. Now, the numbers originally established the TIF. We haven't seen like all of the things come through that continue to fund TIF, but we've not hit anywhere near $1 million in redevelopment as well. So this does fall under TIF eligible. Any questions?
Redevelopment doesn't mean something that's not being used and then you redevelop it to use.
No, it's even like, not really, it's to upkeep also the buildings that we have, so they can continue to be used. I don't feel like it has to be dilapidated. And if you read through the plan, it wasn't necessarily only.
But we aren't maintaining it. That's the huge.
We have granted a full roof replacement. It was like around $8,000 before in the past.
That was before we had any guidelines or ordinances for TIF redevelopment.
But my only concern is understanding when we should approve one. And I know we're saying it's a fluffy process, so we look at each one, but then you're gonna get into, well, they did it for you, they want this for me. I just don't understand how we decide. Same thing I said
Yeah.
previously, so
And to me, the more I get into this, more every situation is different. And to me, if it falls under the guidelines that TIF was originally established for, how do we say no?
but you're, I mean, the tip, you can just do anything, it seems like.
There's lots of things we could do with TIF, right? I mean, why else would we establish it?
I mean, like the facade is to make things look pretty, so that downtown's attractive, right?
Mhm.
I mean, nobody sees the roof, you're maintaining someone's building now. Now, maybe if the business was gonna close because the roof was rotten, you know, maybe we'd wanna say, okay, well, we will look at it and stay open, but.
This is the maintenance to prevent that worst case scenario from happening. We don't want that to happen. We don't want them to come and say, if we cannot get this fixed, we're gonna go under. We don't have the money to do it. That's not necessarily the hardship that has to be shown.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily, I mean, it has to be shown,
I know.
we're just trying to figure out what to do. So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not sure we want to get what they're going there. I mean, if we spend this, it was like just a leak in the roof, and they just need to like hard or something.
Yeah, it was a repair.
So somebody else is gonna come up and say, oh, my roof's leaking.
Then we'll take a look at the same, if it meets the same criteria. For me, it's a historic building, it needs preserved. They requested to fund, it falls under what TIF is. capable of doing. I don't have a reason to say no.
If it wasn't historic.
Potentially, it doesn't meet as many criteria, I feel like.
I think that's kind of what Joe is asking for is,
Yeah,
can we get better criteria for the non-facade stuff?
yeah.
What about the cap on how much money you're gonna give them? I mean, you're gonna have to draw the line somewhere. A percentage of the job or, you know, $5,000.
I think that's kind of, maybe that's the thing, maybe not just like 100%, but I think what you're going with is that, you know, that 50%, 75%, up to X number of dollars, whatever that threshold is, and I know that, I mean, what I'm kind of, I know we have a lot of funds in the tip right now, but I know that we have maybe bigger goals, bigger objectives, what we're gonna do, and it might not be with this board, but it might be down the road, you know, with that, and, you know, having that specific purpose, I know it's tough, because I don't know either on that, but having that bigger objective, because, and whenever I talk to Denny about, storm drainage or water lines, whatever, you know, it could be in billions of dollars. So, I mean, if that's the case, if we place it in the tip district, it would go pretty fast for some, for things like that, you know,
I
I mean.
see that, I can't rightfully say, well, we gotta hold this money, it's the village. Like, I know we have bigger projects coming, but, and I understand, yes, that is a betterment of the community as a whole, but these are our business owners, our property owners too, they're asking for these funds, that was established for them to use as well. So I can't say like, we gotta hold the money, because we could potentially use it towards a bigger project down the road. Like, I have to look at each case as it comes right now.
Right,
as well.
no, I understand, because
Yeah.
no one currently or even before us has that established procedure, so everything that the tip administrator says we can do as eligible to do it, but I think kind of what Joe was mentioning and what Phil was mentioning, I think something with the repair of a roof, I think every business owner, every homeowner would be expected to be able to replace or to the roof function. Now, the point of it, you know, to make it more aesthetically pleasing for the village, yeah, maybe that might be more of a, you know, cost that we can, you know, cover, but,
But the structurally sound building is also important. Even if it's like, it can be pretty on the outside and a total wreck on the inside.
right, so, that kind of Joe said, oh, we're gonna be replacing everybody's roof. So every business owner within the tip district, if they say, hey, this is what it costs to replace our roof, 5,000 or 50,000, are we gonna say, okay?
Yeah.
Is that, or should we say it, or should we say, well, no, some of the responsibility of maintaining a business, you know, you do everything else to protect everything inside, to prevent the integrity of the business. I'm gonna make sure that roof is gonna be,
I see what you're saying.
you know, that's just.
So what I can do then is go back to Glenn, I mean, we won't vote on this tonight, go back to Glenn and come up with. She suggested that we, rethink the whole facade, it's not being utilized for what it was originally established for really much, so she said, scrap it, anything. Maybe we do that and then replacement.
Would you
or-
scrap it, come up with it there, or we just have multiple programs, so this one.
We have multiple
We have
programs
a
as well.
facade program, maybe we could have a maintenance program that has a cap of like 10K per business for 3 years or something. Things that weren't part of the other program, I mean, maybe we do allocate 10K for each business for like maintaining their structure. Additional programs and scrapping. The facade would make sense, we could try and keep things looking nice, right, because that attracts more businesses. That program makes sense. Other program, like the maintenance program, as long as it's some kind of limit. So we just know $50,000 roof. Maybe that would be okay.
Okay. So do you want me to hold up on this one tonight, or is this one at $3,900 less than what we're thinking for a whole maintenance?
I mean, it's not much money at all, I understand. I mean, it's not money.
was that the other?
The roof one?
Yeah, the one before. Is it a while
Was that
back?
a Whitman? Was that a-
Original, that we didn't get money
I
for.
think, yeah, there was
It
that.
was business down here.
Oh, okay.
He put new metal on the outside of the building and
Yeah, the annual TIF report we get does show that, what year it was in.
Okay. Was that facade though, if it was the siding?
it was siding, not just.
Oh, it's roof also. Okay.
Yeah, it was multiple sides also. Well, that's what we decided.
I don't know if he got money for all the sides, and then did two sides and put the rest on the roof. I don't know.
Yeah, the other part of the court, I'm just thinking too, that at the daycare too, we did that, and that's a new business. So the other side of the coin, I guess the other, devil's advocate point is that we did that for a new business. This is an existing business that's been here for a long time. Maybe not since 1884, but a long time, right? To do that, so maybe, yeah, I'm okay with, but or Joe said, it's not.
Yeah.
It'd be under a threshold that I would be thinking about in a way, or, 5 or 10,000.
Yeah, and so too, was redeveloping a building, it's really, you know, say, I over something, right?
Right.
But you know, to maintain the building, it's, needs to be just grow that something, and, you know, but
Yeah, I'll work with Gwen on that, and she's gonna come next month to give. Okay, so with that, I would make a motion to approve ordinance number 1382, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a TIF development agreement by and between the Village of Hudson and Stephen.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the TIF redevelopment agreement between Lambert's and the Village of Hudson, not to exceed $3,900. Are there any final questions or discussions? Not, Allison, roll call vote?
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kevin Kelly,
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
Yeah,
Then you have anything else?
that's it.
Right, next on the list is street, Phil?
Okay, I have a ordinance to adopt, and it is for authorizing the purchase by the village of a certain real property located in the Village of Hudson. So an overview for the citizens out there. The village has been looking at some property at the end of East Street, Southeast Street, where South Street runs into East Street. There's some farm ground there, and it's usually pretty wet. And usually it's flooded out every year, because corn or beans they plant there. So Denny, we've been researching this for a couple of years. We've had a couple of engineers come in from Farnworth and Wiley, as well as our engineer Patrick Meyer. And they both have told us that it would make a good detention area for water retention. That area up there has gotten pretty wet before. The water comes, well, basically from Whitaker area over that field into the ditch on South Street. And I've seen it come over the road on South Street. Denny tried to get it to go east toward that piece of ground. There's kind of a creek going through in front of that property. So the property we're going to purchase is a 3-acre lot. There's they were numbered as lot number 28, 29, and 30 outlots in the Village of Hudson. So we have an ordinance to adopt for that, as well as the real estate contract. And I need to bring that up for a vote tonight if there's any other discussion. All the trustees have gotten copies of the ordinance and the contract of sale prior. They've sent that out to everybody. So if there's any discussion, bring forth the discussion.
One thing I don't think you mentioned was the price.
Oh, price.
price is $100,000 for 3 lots. It's basically 3 lots there at a 3-acre plot. We looked at the pricing. Those lots are zoned for residential. You can get several lots out of those 3 1-acre lots. So the owners looked at that as well as we looked at the pricing of farm ground. Some of the farm ground out at Pipeline and which road is that? Troyer Road, 2,000. That ground just sold for like 25,000 an acre. So our 3-acre lot, we're gonna pay 33,000, but it's also residentially zoned for individual residential lots. So if you took them and broke them into residential lots, you could get more money than you could for farm ground. So, any other questions on that? Okay. If not, then I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 1383. Ordinance authorizing the purchase by the village of certain real property located in the village of Hudson.
Is this 100% tip money?
Yes.
So we have a motion to purchase the lots 28, 29, and 30, the original outlots in Hudson. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Do we have any additional questions or discussion? If not, Allison, roll call vote.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kevin Kelly,
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
Yes,
Okay, then, I'd like to vote on the contract for sale as well for the purchase of the property for 100,000.
Okay, we need a motion to approve that contract. So did you make a motion or would you?
Yeah, I make a motion to,
Approve the contract.
just approve the contract, yeah, this was adopted. So just approve the contract for sale of real estate for lots 28, 29, and 30.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the contract for the sale of those 3 lots, 28, 29, and 30. Is there any final questions or discussions? Not, Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd.
Yes.
Kevin Kelly.
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Lynn Norris.
yes.
Thank you. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, I think that's going to long term, I think that'll be a real good investment for the village to help drainage issues in that area of town. Because I know that's been tough, so. Okay, next on our list is ordinance and zoning, and Ashley's not here tonight. So then we have trustee Kevin, the police.
I wanted to follow up on the solicitor ordinance, but I want to talk to you, Ashley. We couldn't meet at the same time before this, so I want to meet with her and submit everything to Pat, our attorney, so that all the ducks in a row, and maybe you can have something, if you can do that by the July meeting. And if Ashley and I can meet, we can talk to Pat and have something to vote on in July. Do that. I don't have anything else for the, police related. The only thing I just want to make sure that Sarah, I thank Sarah, her report, or investment report, that has, well, we have about 132,000 in interest earned last year. Do you know how compared to the previous fiscal year where that difference is?
I don't have that.
Okay,
I can send an email.
maybe $100,000 difference. maybe?
Probably, yeah, I mean,
Plus,
it's very
Probably,
substantial, yeah.
yeah, so I appreciate that and what you're doing with the investments and keeping track of that. And that's all I have.
And the reports are helpful, thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Kevin? If not, we'll move on to water. Joe? All right, public property and works, Ally's not here, so next is liquor commissioner with me. I have nothing to report. So does anybody have any final business? We'll work on this, Mike. All right, if no one else has any business, does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. I'll second.
We have motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Our meeting is adjourned.